So today we'll go to the next part of our BlenderBIM for beginners project. And today, last time I think we looked at Blender basics, where we learned about navigating through Blender, some of the shortcuts you can use when using Blender. So today we'll dive deeper into installing BlenderBIM and learning our basic skills when navigating through Bonsai BIM. It's like the same when you come to Blender at Bonsai. It's just that it has different workflows. So last time, the tutorial we did last time was to introduce us to how Blender works and navigating through the interface of Blender, and I hope everyone was comfortable about it. So right now we're gonna learn how to install Bonsai BIM. And to install Bonsai BIM, it's like an add-on in Blender. So to install add-ons in Blender, you come to your edit section, then you go to preferences, and then now you can choose either to install an add-on that is already built in Blender, and you can see some of these are already installed, but when you can't find yours, you come to get extensions, and then now you can search. For example, I want Bonsai, and then you can see I have Bonsai over here. So for me, I've already installed Bonsai, but that's how you do it. Another way you can do it, for example, me, I'm using the unstable version of Blender 5.1. You can also install the add-on from GitHub. That would be a different tutorial for another day. So basically, after you have installed Bonsai, now your workflow or your Blender interface should be something like this, as you can see in my video. And to create an IFC project, you can come and choose for templates. You can use for IFC4 demo template. Then you can create a project, and then now you can see you have different objects on your side. So after now, this is the outliner. You remember when you were starting Blender without installing Bonsai, our outliner was on this section, but now you can see it has moved to the left side. Also, now you can see we have the IFC properties, or what you can edit with the objects on our scene on your right side. So also, when you can let's say you can add it to expand this scene, you can see you have different other functions for editing different things. Now here on top we have the sections you can use when editing your stuff or doing your stuff. For example, when you want to switch through modes, you have these sections. You have viewports. For example, let me just add a simple cube. You remember we said to add something on your scene, use Shift A. For example, you have this simple cube. If I want to view it as a wire mesh, I can just come here, and then now you can see it looks like a wire mesh. For rendering, viewport shading, it's there, but now I'm gonna keep it at solid. Another way to toggle through these modes, you can use the Command Z. Then now you can see you can change. For example, if I want the wireframe, you can see you can just use Z. Okay, so another section you need to learn here, it's this snapping. So, and for snapping, you can see now you have the different options when using snapping. For example, you can see for me, I have the vertex turned on, which is like you snap along these vertices of our object. For edges, also face the same. Also increment, this like snaps on increments. So I guess you get the point over there. Another thing now you have to learn about is when, for example, I have a, what do we say, when I want to preview my object without seeing all the things I edit, you can switch this on and off, and now you can see I only have been left with the model alone. You don't have even the grid system. So I'll turn it back on. I think now everyone is correct about that. Now another thing we learned today is the different parts of this section, these tools you get here. For example, number one, you have the wall tool. The wall tool mainly is used to do the walls when you're doing your drawings. For example, let me go to top view, which is number 7. I'm in my top view, so I want to draw a wall tool. And now when you click the wall tool, you can see the different sections of editing different walls. Have the wall for a thickness of 50 millimeters, 100 millimeters, 200 millimeters. When I want to duplicate a wall, for example the 100 millimeter, you can duplicate the wall, and then you can see it came to unnamed, and say I can name it to, let's say, 225 millimeters wall. Okay, then I can close. Now when you come to here, when you want to draw a 225 millimeters wall, I just come there and then I press Shift A, and then enter, and now you can see you have a wall. Another thing that confuses people a lot, for example, I want to change the thickness of this wall. I come to here at the geometry and materials, and I come to geometry and materials. Now you can see how the object materials. I just come here, press edit, and then here you can see the layer thickness, it's 0.1 meter, so I can change it to 225 millimeters, and then you can see now it will update save changes, and now you can see it has changed automatically on all the walls of that type. Okay, so in the future when I want to create a 225 millimeters, I just create it like that, and then you can see now it has updated itself. It's 225 millimeters. I guess that's okay for the walls. So that tool is used to draw the walls, and I hope you have understood how to check the thickness of a wall. Also, another thing, under the wall section you have the railing tool, and now here we don't have the railing tool, but for me when I'm creating railings, I use custom made railings and then assign IFC properties, but we'll come to that later. But for now, let's just focus on what we have for now. I'll teach you how to create your custom object and assigning IFC properties so that they can also reflect on your drawings or your architectural materials. Another thing we have over here, for example, let me draw a quick wall. For example, I want to draw a 200 millimeters wall. Then, for example, let's say I have this small house over here. So I'll come to the top view. Then here you have the slab tool. The slab tool is mainly used when you're drawing your slab. Also, we apply the same things. You see, we have a slab of 200 millimeters and a slab of 300 millimeters. Again, you can also, since for example, for example, let's say I want a slab of, let's say, 150 millimeters, which I don't have over here. So you can come duplicate this one and then come and rename this one to 150 millimeters. Okay, so and then I can close, come here, choose the 150 millimeters, come and draw my slab, just train it to the walls, then I can enter. But now when you look at your slab, it's already 200 millimeters, so you just, and to confirm that, you can see at the object materials here you have 0.2 meters, so we can come to the same section we did 200, and then you can set the thickness to be 150 millimeters, and then you can save the changes, and it has automatically updated itself. So I guess that's okay for now about the slab. So you can create as many slab types as you want with different thickness. Also, under the slab, we have these sections. We have the roof tool. So for the roof tool, for example, let's say I want to create a roof under this section of this house. So I can first, let me place my cursor over here, add a small plane. After I add a small plane, I can come and then object properties, IFC element. Then now you can search for a IFC roof. See roof, assign IFC class. After assign IFC class, I come to the objects materials, come to the parametric geometry, add a roof. I say add a roof, and then now I can change the slope angle. For example, let's say I want a slope angle of 25 degrees, and then now you can see. And then after you finish, you can just say finish editing. Now to align our roof to our house, we come and place tab, and then now you can see you have this. So for example, I wanted to move under the X section, so GX. Remember we say to move an object in Blender, use the command G, GY, then I can move it GY. As you can see now, the only thing with our roof, the house wasn't that straight, GY, so I can constrain it over there. So what you can see now I have just a basic roof. We can add the overhang. For example, you have a 600 millimeters overhang. I can just do GY, then 0.6, and then I can do the same to the other point, GX 0.6, and then come do it on all the other parts, GX 0.6 minus. This one was not that straight, CX Y 0.6 minus. Then you can just place tab. Then now you can see a very basic house with a roof. So it is that understandable for now. So that's all about the roof tool. But now later in the tutorial, on the coming tutorials, we learn how to create complicated structures of roofs, also creating your own custom made roofs, and then assigning the IFC properties, and then I think that will be good. Yeah, so under the roof tool we also have the stair flight tool. I don't like using the stair flight tool a lot because mainly I create my own custom made stairs, and then later I come assign IFC properties and it's okay, but it also works. For example, you can see no stair flight types found, so you can quick create a IFC, and then now you can see unnamed, and then I'll come in. For example, let me just cut it over there, and then now you can see you have a stair, stairs. To edit these stairs, also you come to the parametric geometry, stair parameters. You just come in, edit. For example, I want the width to be 1 meter. For example, height I want it to be around 3 meters. The target, the total length target, let's say I want 6 meters. And then number of threads, let's say I increase it to around 24. And then the total length, you have to, because it updates itself, have to update it. And now you can see you have a 6 meters and all these things. For example, I want it to be 3 meters, and then now you can see they are very small. So, and then you just have to play around with the things. Okay, so I guess that's understandable. Also, when you want to change the base slab depth, you can see then change it. You can see it updates itself when you as you edit your object. Also, the top slab depth, you can edit it. So I guess that's okay for now, though we learn more about stairs later on later tutorials. Right now just going through the different types of objects we have on Bonsai BIM. So I'll just delete the stairs too, or just let it stay over there. Then you can finish editing. So another thing, now you have the door tool. So the ramp flight tool, it's the same as just the stairs. You just add, for example, let me say I want us so that one we'll learn about later. I've never used the ramp tool because mainly some of the objects I use on Blender, for example, stairs, the ramps, the railings, and so I create custom made in Blender, and then I assign the LC properties later. So another thing we have to work much on is the doors, and you can see, for example, right now I have just a simple door. For example, we have DT01. Okay, so let's say let me add a door over here. So for example, let me add a door somewhere over here, and then now you can see I have a door over there. So for example, let's say I wanted to edit the door. You can just come under the parametric geometry, I add the door, create a door, and then now you can, for example, I wanted it to be 2.1 overall width, and then I can choose whether I want the sequencing left or the sequencing right. For now I want the sequencing left, and to confirm that it has reflected on our drawings, you just come and we have not saved the projects, so that's why you can see the drawings are not coming up. So in order to see your drawings, you can just first save the file, so the file is saved, and then add the drawings. You click that download, my story, add a plan view, my story, and then now you can see the door is updated over here. Okay, so let us go back to our model. So what if I want to add a different type of door? For example, I want a single swing right. So I just come here, click duplicate name, and then I can rename it to maybe the opening to the right. Okay, and then now I can add the door over there, and then come edit the door section under the parametric geometry. It's not that one, I have not selected it. So I select the door, come add the door, and then I can, how do you call it, I can select the sequencing right, and then the overall height I can be 2.1, and finish editing. So when you come to our drawings and see it, you can see you have the different type of doors. For example, you want it to open on the other side, you can just click flip, then you can see also what happens to this one. So you can see, simple as that. So I guess that's okay with the doors for now. I will make a different tutorial dedicated to doors alone later. So another thing you have to learn about is the window section. Also, it's like the same with the doors. You have a custom window that welcomes you to Blender. So for example, I want that window, and then I just use the same method to come and edit the window under the geometry material, parametric geometry section, add window, and then now I can select, maybe I want the window to be 1.6 meters high, overall width maybe I want to be 2.1, and then I want it to be triple panel vertical. So first mullion I can select 0.7, the other one can be 1.4, then I can say finish editing. Then I can move it along the x-axis. I first turn the snapping off, come for GX, shift G, and then I guess now that's okay. So yeah, I have not turned my screencast on, so you can see the video updated automatically. To view the video in our drawing, we just come over here, the story plan, and now you can see our video. Maybe let's hide the slab, and now you can see our video has automatically updated in our drawing. Is it okay? So I guess the window is explained just basically. So another thing we learn about is the beam tool. Another column tool, you have also 3 types of columns. So for example, I want to add a simple column, just shift A, and then you can see you have a column over here. If you want the column too, just do the same, and then it updates automatically. So what is the other thing we can learn about? Furniture we learn about later, and the other tools. This one is for the pipes and so on. So this one we will also learn on a different tutorial. But under the column section, you also have the beam beam. So for example, I want to add a simple beam. Just will do the shift A, and now this is the parametric, so I can constrain it about there. For example, I want Y, X, then I can concentrate over there. Let's see, then enter, and you can see now you have our beam. It's been used either by structural engineers or also when you're creating your object. You have the member tool, the footing tool, the pie tool, so you can play around with these other sections. So another thing we have to learn about is creating annotation. For example, have this drawing over here, and I want to create a simple text saying, for example, where you can see you have text, so you can select either you want to create a text dimension or so. So first you can start with a simple text. So I can add shift A, then you can see the text appears where the cursor was, and then I can say edit text, and then I can say, for example, tutorial house, and then maybe I can select that I want it to be title to be big. Then you can see, you can hide that, then you can see it updated. Okay, what if you want to add a door tag? I come and select the 2 doors, I select the text door tag, and then now I say back tag, and then you can see you have the door tags. Happens also the same with the windows, window tag, and then I select the window. After I select the window, I say back tag, and you can see we updated the window tag. So that's the first annotation. For example, I want to create a dimension. I'll come choose the, for example, I want the, what is the dimension? Choose the dimension, and then shift A, and then come to here. I see object mode. Then I can come to the edit mode, and I can first move it to GX, GY, GX. So I select that GY, then let me turn my snapping on, GY, GY, and you can see we also have the GY, GY. I don't know why it's in 210 meters, UI. You can see now it also updated the wall thickness. I think here it's because this wasn't that straight, but that's how you add dimensions. So when you want to, I can just click tab to move out of the object mode. For example, I want to create a leader. A leader line is like the one used for labels. So I just click shift A, come to IFC object mode, also come to edit mode, then G. For example, I want to say this is I want to create the documentation of this, EX, then come to object mode, edit text, and then I can say tutorial 1. And then now you can see we have the leader line. So that's it for today. I think we have learned much of the basics about BlenderBIM or Bonsai BIM, and now On the next tutorial, we learn much about how to create stuff from the different objects we have in Bonsai BIM. So the other tutorials will be doing much focused tutorials on a particular thing. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you for your time.